Welcome back to the Octemberfest podcast. I am still Jeff, your solicitor of spooky sci-fi cinema, and today we are taking on a classic of the genre. Well, genres, both sci-fi and horror. The 1979 Ridley Scott masterpiece, Alien. This episode is the first part of a double feature. We went straight from our screening of Alien into Aliens, the sequel released in 1986. We're going to run a little long on this one, so we split it into two parts. These movies are cornerstones at this point, with influence seen in many films for the last 4 decades. I am, of course, joined once again by my co-host, John.
Hi, and this is the first time I've actually seen either of these movies, which I was astonished when we started watching that I did not recognize any of it. So this has been educational.
You've probably been telling people for years that you've seen these already.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely had conversations, and I knew the important parts, but I hadn't actually seen them. Amazing.
And Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi. I have seen these movies a very long time ago.
Though, to be fair, she also does not remember because she can't recall the plots of movies.
No, I do remember. I just couldn't remember which ones things happen in because there's a lot.
Excellent. Let's hope that you remember long enough for us to get through this recording, and then you can forget about where's what.
Well, I remember long enough?
Yeah.
No, I'll be fine.
Okay.
And John, like you said, took the notes of the whole first movie.
This is true. John, ever studious, did record copious notes, at least during the first film. And hopefully he'll have a good story time for us in a minute. As we tend to do in these, I'll start by doing a quick nutshell recap. Alien opens with the Nostromo, a space towing vehicle, returning from its mission, towing a bunch of
20 million tons of something that doesn't matter.
Indeed. They wake up and find that they are not where they should be. They have been diverted and are sent to check out a distress signal on a planet that is uninhabited. When they land, 3 of the crew discover an alien spaceship. One of them is attacked by an alien parasite. They ill-advisedly allow that crew member back on board the ship, and carnage ensues very quickly. After about 2 hours of madness, 1 crew member and a cat are left remaining, adrift in space, and this is where we end the film. Aliens picks up 60 years later almost?
57 precisely.
The survivor of the first film has been rescued and is brought up to speed on how long she's been asleep. She is told by the corporate overlords that run everything in the future, so far-fetched, that she did not experience what she experienced on her adventure in the first film. They
demote her.
Fire her, essentially. She is eliminated of prospects, and we learn that there's a colony on the planet where they found the alien in the first movie, where one alien did so much damage in such a short amount of time. Now they're an unknown number. Several months later, our survivor is recruited to go to that planet with a corporate flak and a colonial military crew that is overconfident in their ability. They discover a colony that is overrun with aliens. Things rapidly go sideways, and after about 2 hours of adventure, we have a handful of survivors once again adrift in space. These are very vague summaries of these movies. We will get into some depth here in the future. The first film is actually horror classic. They build tension and use jump scares and terrified a generation. The second film is an action film, far more than it is a horror, but has inspired as much action as Alien inspired horror. And as such, I think that you can't talk about one without the other, which is why we're doing this double feature, and has been a long day already of screening films. 4.5 hours, in fact. So,
yeah. We were all mistaken as to how long the movies were. So despite the action nature of the second one, it was 30 minutes longer at 2.5 hours.
But they don't feel long. They move very well.
Well paced, both of them, yes, despite different directors.
Yeah. I mean, two legendary directors at this point who have both made awful films also. But I'll never forgive you for Titanic, James Cameron.
There's a
That is beloved.
whole cast of folks who would probably fight you for those words, but I actually
I know. That's my controversial statement for today.
All right, I'll give you one. I don't think I've ever actually watched Titanic.
What the fuck?
We're not doing that for this podcast. We can do that for Heidi's podcast when she starts it.
So that's the kind of thing that might actually get me disowned from my father-in-law. So,
yeah,
his heart will go on.
One hopes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get started then on Alien.
Yeah.
So this was 1979. We found was when it was released. Set the stage, right? So when we think about this is the imagination of space in 1979 and space travel. But one of the things that started out, we start out in our opening, and it is silent. It is fully silent for, I don't know, the first like 5 minutes of the film, something along those lines. Maybe longer, maybe, yeah.
Really, it's nearly 8 minutes until we get a spoken line of dialogue. And all that we're getting for most of that is some machine noise and very little story.
But I mean, like, it's fully silent for like the first 5. And by the time you get into the actual ship, then you get the machine noise. There's no spoken dialogue still, but like, there's no music that goes on in this. It's like, they're just showing kind of that isolation of space. And it kind of creates a nice starting, like, yeah, you just, the nothingness is all there. Because in the beginning, when they show you the ship, like they show you the ship coming along, nobody's awake. The ship is dark. It is quiet. There's no movement, no motion until Mother, the computer, gets a signal, sees it, and decides to wake up the crew. The crew awakens in cryopods, right? And so when they awaken, even, like, it's not like it's a noisy affair. Like the pods open and then like they start to stir, and like there's still no spoken dialogue. They're just kind of a little groggy, whatever. They don't even go to like figure out why they've been woken up for a little while. Like once they're all awake, they go and they like have some coffee, have a few cigarettes, meet in the mess hall and have some breakfast.
I mean, we should point out this is not a crew of spacefaring adventurers. This is the crew of a space towing vessel. They are essentially space truckers. They drive a tow truck in space. They aren't Marines. They aren't really scientists. These are folks who know how to operate their spaceship and have it tow a very large platform of refining and ore material.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 20 million tons is I think what we clocked it as, because they gave us a little screen over, right? And not only that, like, it's a very small crew. It's 7 people. That's the entire 7 people and a cat is the entirety of the crew. And as far as they know, when they woke up, like, they're supposed to be heading to Earth, heading home. And so they assumed that when they were woken up, they were almost home, because that's what normally happens in these voyages.
But that's not our system.
Exactly. That's not our system. Why are we here? What's going on? And this is where they discover that there's a distress signal. They basically have to first figure out where the hell they are, because that's not obvious. They're supposed to wake up close to Earth, end up closer to halfway through their journey, and they find out that there's the signal that has been repeating, and they don't know what it is.
Now, these early scenes, as soon as they start to have conversations, they're mostly conversations about nothing, right? Mm-hmm. These are essentially coworkers who live together on these long runs, mm-hmm. and they're just chatting with each other. But through these nonsense conversations, you get a feel for who everybody is, what their relationship is with each other. You've got Ripley, who's the flight officer, and Lambert, who I think is the navigator. And there's a bit of snide and cattiness going on as Ripley's like, that's not our system. And Lambert says, I know that. And you kind of get an understanding for where these people stand with each other. And it's all done quickly and organically. And it's not just like, oh well, here's a readout of all this person's specifics.
Yeah. They do a really nice job with kind of showing you who these people are and their relationships through the organic conversations, and the relationships between the people is all kind of gone through that. Very little of it is actually, the conversation is focused specifically on that. It's more just shown through, like the way the two engineers in the in the belly work with each other, and one's the boss, the other one says right a lot.
Right.
Oh, and I just have to go ahead and shout out for the super 80s computer, a room full of Christmas lights, and like a 7-inch monitor, or like a couple of 7-inch monitors, and only one of them like boots up to show a little brain. It's pretty entertaining.
CRT displays too. They are chunky.
They are chunky.
This is something they have kept in almost all of the movies that have happened afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So in the most recent movie, Alien Romulus, they still have these old chunky CRT displays. They could do holograms or anything else because we've got technology for CG now. We have actual flat panel displays, but they stay with the aesthetic of this late 70s, early 80s spacefaring style.
I mean, I appreciate their commitment to it. It stays with consistency, right? So whatever it is in their universe, that is what space tech looks like. When they discover the signal, some of the crew doesn't want to investigate. And the reason given is, we ain't being paid for this shit, more or less, right? So they're a mercenary crew. They're doing their contract and they want to get paid and move on. And they're very concerned, at least especially the engineering lead, is concerned with his number of shares and wants to get more shares out of this. However, they are informed that their contract includes a clause that says that if they do not investigate any of these signals along their route, they get 0 shares, which is enough to motivate an exploration of the planet for at least some of the greed-motivated folks. There are some who are clearly curious or want to investigate otherwise, but they're not of one mind, this crew, right?
Let's take a second to identify the crew. We've got our lead character, Sigourney Weaver, who is Ellen Ripley, the pilot or flight officer, it seems like. We've got Tom Skerritt, who is Dallas. He is the captain of the ship. We have John Hurd, I believe, who is Kane. He is, I think, the second in command, maybe the medical. We have Ash, played by Ian Holm, also known as Bilbo, and countless other things. He's a great actor. He is the science officer. We have Lambert, who appears to be doing navigation, the other female on the crew. We have Brett and Parker, who are the engineers.
I believe Parker is the more senior.
Parker is Yaphet Kotto. He is the more senior, and Brett just mostly follows him around, repeating the things he said. That's our crew. That's the entirety of these 7 people.
And I do have to just call out that my other recollection of the man who played Brett is from playing the engineering lead on Down Periscope. So apparently this is just typecast for him now. Anyway, we've committed. We're going to go check it out. And so they separate their crew from, or their ship from the giant payload they've got. And so this is actually kind of a cool effect for that time. And you see it, and the ships actually look kind of decent for their time. I was pretty impressed.
This movie is full of gorgeous miniatures. Like these are models they build to shoot with, and there are so many great looking detailed models throughout it. Like the platform, their ship, the ship they find on the planet. Like there's so many just really cool things that they built for this.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed.
I never know when to interject.
Just interject. Just step in.
I know, but this is story time.
It doesn't matter. Story time, we still have to throw in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Story time is a discussion of the story with things that show up in there. Yeah. So jump in.
I just don't know, because that's the first thing you notice is how cool the set design is. How, I think that was my very first comment watching this movie was wow, the set designers really had fun and did a good job with this, because there's buttons and cables and panels and just stuff everywhere, and it all looks worn and dirty and like you said, like a work ship. So
During that initial 5 minutes of silence, what we're doing is getting a tour of this really well built set ship. Like, you can believe that this is something that people are using to tow cargo across the galaxy. And
It's not its first run.
no, and it's full of detail, just nothing wasted.
I mean, I can't say I see all of the functions of the pieces, but many of them did. Like you go through the galley, you see where they're keeping the food. You go through like kind of like where the command crew is, and I mean, you see the coffee cups, you see the ashtrays.
Oh my
It's the
god, the
70s.
smoking in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is not an anti-smoking film.
No.
Not
They're
at all.
not smoking on the med bay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
First thing you do when you wake up, grab a cigarette.
I mean, you've been asleep a long time. A lot of people get started that way, especially in the 70s.
Wake and bake.
Well, we don't know what they were smoking.
Indeed.
Anyway, so yeah, they separate. They go on to the surface of the planet, which I was a little bit surprised that they just kind of like homed in and like decided to set down, because they didn't actually do an atmosphere analysis till they actually hit the ground, which they managed to hit a rock, I guess, and injured the ship.
Remember the part where they're not space explorers?
It's true.
They're just doing what they've been told to do. They know how to fly a ship, but they're not used to exploring alien worlds. That's not really what they're out there to do.
There's
it
also
makes sense they'd make mistakes.
Totally. I mean, it is also a pretty good chance that, like, even when they get back to Earth, they dock in space and they don't even take that ship to the surface.
Right.
So, I mean, it looked like it was going. I did notice that they liked verbal countdowns, and I feel like that's sort of just the 70s thinking about how things worked or should work. But I don't know. Maybe that's totally a normal thing. So after they land, the engineers are talking shit about having to fix the ship and are being kind of assholes, which is amusing until things are actually broken. And then, well, they're engineers.
It's very amusing.
Exactly. So they put on some spaceships or spacesuits and they go out. They say it's only 20 minutes till dawn, and they still go out, and it is some sort of like freezing, blowing storm, and still looks like night. So I don't really know if they waited to dawn or not, because there is no light. It's still very dark.
From what we learned in the second movie, even when it's daylight, it's pretty damn dark on LV-426.
Yes, so I'm starting to believe that's just normal, but at the time it was very confusing, because it's like, well, it still looks like it's nighttime and a storm, and why would you go out in that? But anyway, yeah, tons of wind. This is like Martian, windstorm, level wind. And they still don't actually know what the signal says. I guess that we maybe glossed over that part, but it's just kind of like some binary whatever. They just know it's repeating, so they know it's a intentional signal, but they don't know what it says. And so they pursue, walk through. So 3 of the crew goes. The other 4 stay back, and they wonder about following the thing, and they find an alien ship that's crashed.
So the 3 crew members that go out are Dallas, the captain, Kane, the second in command, and Lambert, the navigator.
Right. Which leaves Ripley, Ash, Lambert, and
Lambert's out. Parker and Brett.
Parker and Brett back there. Anyway.
And the cat.
Yeah. Whose name is Jonesy? Or Jones?
I think it's just Jones, but Jonesy.
They call him Jonesy.
Yeah, but I feel his name is Jones, and Jonesy is just the cutesy version. This new ship, they start exploring, and they decide to go in it because, of course, you do. It's enormous. It dwarfs the size of their ship, especially the one they came in on. And yeah, we see it through the grainy video, because all of these guys have like kind of video cameras strapped to their helmets. And the feel of this ship is very different, because like you look at their ship and it's kind of, again, it's like 70s space tech, and you see kind of like, bulbous, things for insulation. I don't know what.
Cluttered electronics and dirty padding and flickering lights and basically 70s space technology.
Exactly. Versus this new ship is almost organic. It's, feels like very, I don't know, you see it looks like the xenomorph in some ways, right? I mean, we already know kind of what that looks like, but the ship, the interior of it looks like that. And so it's a very different feel. And they proceed through this, and they end up coming up to what appears to be a giant corpse in a chair. And we're not really sure. It's actually even hard to make out the edges of the giant corpse. But one thing that is of note that they discover is that there's a hole in its chest. Foreshadowing.
There's a hole in its chest, and it's been there for so long that it's calcified and is essentially part of the chair. It has been dead and stuck there for eons at this point. Like, we don't know how long. Long enough that whatever popped out of it probably isn't still walking
No. And this is also the point at which I would have to raise my hand and say, cool, done due diligence, getting the hell out of here, nothing left to see here. But instead, ooh, look, a hole. Let's see what's in there. Turns out an enormous cavern that is filled with a little bit of mist. And below that mist, we find something that looks like fairly large eggs.
Well, what do we do when we see big eggs? Do we run away, or do we stick our face directly into them?
there.
Especially once it opens, we definitely stick our face in that. And it turns out that a little face hugger loves to pop out of those things and attack nearby faces. And thus, Kane is down.
Now, before he gets attacked, he is shining a light through this egg, and it's translucent enough that you can see things moving inside. It's a really cool effect. And it's important to remember, as we're talking about the effects in both of these movies, that they are almost entirely practical effects. Like, they don't have CG to do this afterwards. They had to make something that looked like an alien moving inside an egg and put that on screen, and it still looks great.
It does. The effects in the movie were honestly quite quality throughout. Our medical officer, Kane, is down. We cut back, and the other two are dragging him up to the ship because, well, he's down, and they weren't going to leave him behind. And they're trying to get into the ship, and they're like, open the damn door, Ripley. And the answer is no. Quarantine protocol. We have to let that sit for 24 hours. I want to be very clear. Ripley's pretty much always right in this movie. And that would have, in fact, saved the crew. Maybe at the cost of a couple of them, but yeah, it would have saved the rest of them. In any case, this is overridden by our science officer, who just manually overrides it, because Ripley does not, in fact, say yes. This comes up a little bit later when she confronts Ash about it, because she had command with the two superior officers out. She was there, and he very much violated protocol, both quarantine protocol and the ship's hierarchy in doing so. Not that that's going to matter by the end of this. Anyway.
It does, though, raise questions about his motivation, as this is somebody who is part of a crew. He's a
medical person.
Officer.
Yeah,
he's a scientist.
He should know the
know
protocol
better.
Yeah.
And yet he chooses to go against that because of his own curiosity, because of ulterior motives. It's not expressed at this point, and yet
stay tuned for the big reveal. Oh yeah, we're also going to put spoilers in this. If anyone hasn't figured that shit out yet.
No, I think we did. We pretty much.
Yeah, I spoiled the whole thing in the first minute and a half. So
I just figured.
I think it's a movie podcast. We have previously determined that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Disclaimer: if anyone was unclear, I will be spoiling all surprises in this movie.
25 minutes into the podcast, we are going to tell you about the spoilers that we've already released in the first 20 minutes of the podcast. It's a fair warning, It's a little late, but trigger warning.
You just edit that in post.
I will not. This is all staying right where it is.
Yep. All right. So this is where they bring Kane into the medical bay. We find out that because they were wearing spacesuits, and the parasite went through his faceplate, and that's exciting already. But somehow he is still breathing. So they're very clear to show you his chest moving. He's definitely breathing, and so he's still alive.
With a critter strapped on his face.
Right. That is his face right now. And they also investigate, and it looks like this thing attached to his face is keeping him alive. It is feeding him oxygen. It is, so it's intentionally keeping him alive. And they do a scan, and all they really see is kind of that part. was it Dallas, I think, makes the determination, all right, we got to cut it off. Like, I don't care. We have to cut it off. Science officers like, no, can't do that. I want to go ahead and like, we don't know if it could hurt him. And Dallas is like, nope, take it. We're doing it. But on first cut, we find out this fine face-hugging creature has acid blood and sprays out that goes through like 4 levels,
three or 4 decks of the ship.
of the deck. Yeah.
It was impressive. From one little nick on its knuckle.
Yeah, as I say, one. I mean, maybe it was a decent cut, but even so, like
they didn't take the finger off.
No.
They barely cut it. It spurts some blood out, and it melts halfway through the ship.
I mean, to the point they're worried about like the ship's integrity if it happens. So that's exciting, and they end up giving up on taking it off of him after that because that's not a good deal.
Now, this is a place where Yaphet Kotto's kind of right. He just keeps saying, why don't they just freeze him? He's got this thing on his face, take him back in the cryopod, let somebody else deal with it. They get paid, he gets to go home, whatever. Another way the movie could end.
Makes
also,
sense to me.
Probably the end of Earth,
Yeah.
but they don't know that at this point.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no. There's a lot of what if scenarios that would have changed the outcome of the movie and the franchise. But in any case, all right. So they all go back to kind of doing their business for a little bit and just trying to keep going. And they come back, or they get an alert from Ash to come back and check out Kane.
There's been a development, I think.
Yeah, and they find that the facehugger is just gone.
I would like to know were there surveillance cameras in this? Like, why they should have known exactly where that thing went. They should have had it. They could have rolled back that video feed and saw.
You don't put a lot of surveillance cameras in your tow truck.
I'm sorry. Okay. I guess the second ship was a different ship.
I mean, the second ship is a big refinery ship. Maybe there's some cameras in there, but throughout this, they don't have cameras set up through this ship. It's not that kind of vessel. It's very much a working ship. They don't need to have surveillance cameras. They barely know how to work their air vents.
This is true. All right. So anyway, they go in there, and it's the 3 of them at this point. I think it's Dallas, Ash, and Ripley go into the medical thing, which is completely fucking dark again. I just want to note, this is the darkest damn spaceship I could ever imagine. Like, you imagine most spaceships, and they're like bright, sterile, whatever. Like, no, this one, dark, dingy. There's just corners everywhere. And they find out that facehugger's gone, and they're like, okay, well, shit, gotta find it.
Where did it go? Now, a thinking person might say, let's get something to protect ourselves with as we look for this thing that had recently attached itself to our friend's face.
Mm-hmm.
Or, some kind of face protection or anything that may stop you from suffering the same fate. And there is very little precaution taken in the search. It's not until several minutes into the search that Ash goes back and closes the door behind them. It could have scampered out into the rest of the ship at this point.
No.
They are not good at containing threats.
No, this is not a story of competence, other than Ripley.
But again, it's not their job to be competent at alien stuff.
It's true.
They drive a truck.
It's fair.
That's fair.
All right. So anyway, they end up finding it. I don't know if I remember exactly. I know that it springs on Ripley, but it doesn't. It's already dead.
Yeah, it's already dead, but it's in the overhead, like instrumentation over the medical bed that Kane was laying in, and it is perished and was just kind of dangling in the wires and falls down as she's looking through them.
Right,
scaring the crap out of her and Heidi, who had a legitimate jump.
That jump scare got me.
I feel was this was one of our first big jump scares?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Up until then, it's been building a mood. It's long, slow shots. It's a lot of quiet. There's probably a bit of a jump scare when the alien left it. Kane.
Yeah.
Because you do see the egg open and the thing starts to come out, and then it comes at you, and then you cut over to another scene and see what actually happened. But that's a scare moment. But there's a lot of build up to a moment in this.
Mm-hmm.
and a few build-ups to someone knocking over a can or finding a cat in a locker.
Aw.
Right. All right. So after that happens, okay, good news. It's dead. We'll keep the corpse for science because for science is a fun refrain from Ash. But
Ash wants to keep the thing, and Ripley has a fairly good point. It bleeds blood. Who knows what it does when it dies? And Ash plays this off as a joke. I don't think it's going to become a zombie. Well, that's not the threat. I mean, who knows if this thing decays into poison nerve gas? Like, you have no idea what its physiology is going to do. It seems like the wrong call to just keep it around a ship that has improper containment.
Yeah. It's sort of like if you had a special thing that could contain anything, sure, but we don't have that. We're space truckers.
Yeah.
However, Ash overrides and says, "Oh, it's science," and Dallas allows him to make any call for science, so this is fine. We also have a little bit of a dialogue between Ripley and Dallas asking about Ash, because Ash is new to the crew. Their former science officer had been with them for like 4 or 5 missions, something like that. And this guy came in basically at the start of this mission. So this is the first time Ash has been on this crew with Dallas. And so he's actually a newcomer. And so we now learn a little bit more that he doesn't have a reputation or a relationship with the others. And so we have to really evaluate his behavior strictly in the like setting of this mission, because that's all they have to go off of. Like, many of the crew have been on this together for a while and are kind of friends and know each other. He's the new guy. So it's important context for understanding more later, right? But anyway, so Kane wakes up. That's cool. And he's like, well, that was weird. I'm hungry.
I think before Kane wakes up, but after the thing falls off his face, they've decided that the ship is fixed enough.
Oh, they get back to the ship.
They leave the planet.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think they're still on the planet when they try to cut it. But there's still not great atmosphere on the planet. They can't let the hull get breached. But now they're actually in space.
Yes.
So Kane wakes up. They're in space. They're headed home, and
they've reconnected with the payload and hopefully resumed their journey. But yeah, Kane wakes up, and they were about to go ahead and I think freeze him for the journey home, but he wakes up. So I guess, hey, cool, our friend's back. He seems otherwise fine, doesn't really remember everything that happened. And so they get around the meal table. They're happy to have their friend back. They're having a good time. And
talking about how bad the food is.
Yep, like you do. And he's eating and starts to have some massive chest pain. And I feel like we've all seen this scene, because if nothing else, I recall it from Spaceballs. And yeah, shortly thereafter, our alien bursts out of his chest, absolutely terrifying the crew. The reactions from Lambert were choice.
Now, if I recall this correctly, they did not tell the cast what specifically was going to happen here.
Oh.
So the responses from them in that moment when John Hurt's chest explodes in gore is legitimate.
That's fantastic.
Like, Lambert is covered in blood and is like screaming, and everybody else has these great shocked looks on their face, because in a very Kubrickian move, they didn't know this was coming. And it leads to really good performances and really good shots. Like, if you'd seen this effect before, it's not going to be as responsive. And
right. His performance of that too, like the thrashing, and like they're trying to get him to bite a spoon, and like just that whole thing, all those hands on him, and he's just that was they did such a wow. That was good.
It was a great scene.
I want to make a note, or I made a note about this the sound, because there's such good use of sound through this whole thing, and the sound in that scene, again, no music, no tension with the music, it's all just the people's genuine reactions, but through in the background there's like a mechanical sound that's pulsing like a heartbeat during this whole thing, and that alone, like, you don't notice it until you do, and then it's like it like almost gives you anxiety, because it's like building that tension, but without the like music. So that I thought was
it's
well
like a low
done.
key
Kind of, yeah. But it's not even
it's
trying
not
to be
that overt.
Yeah. But it's not even trying to be a background music. It's literally a sound from the ship that's just like don't like that beat. Oh,
Gotta love good sound design.
Yeah.
I think good sound design is key to any good horror movie. Anyway, they're all so incredibly shocked by this alien bursting out of their friend's chest that the alien scampers off into the ship, and they're just shocked, basically.
The alien that bursts out of him is maybe 8 inches, got silver teeth, it's creepy looking, it's albino, and they do nothing when it tries to run off, and then figure out maybe we should have tried to stop that from happening, because now there's a potentially vicious alien loose on their spaceship.
Yes. So shortly after, they have their space funeral and send Kane out to vacuum.
A space funeral in which nobody has any words to say.
It's true.
They take the time. Does anybody want to say anything? There's no touching memorial. There's no attempt at some kind of a service. He's in an airlock. They open it, and he zips out like he's got somewhere to go.
He's gone. Yep. So maybe they're not that close of a crew. I don't know.
I think they're all a bit of shock at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. I think so. So now they're getting into shit. Alien escaped on the ship. What are we going to do? They're, reminder, they're space truckers. They don't have weapons. So somebody rigs up basically a cattle prod as a weapon. And somebody else, the science officer, rigs up a motion detector to go ahead and help them find this thing that I guess is keyed off of movement, is what it sounds like. But
micro changes in air density.
Sure.
He says, with some weird side eye going on, like he's annoyed he has to explain himself. And I don't think he's believed by some of the crew. I think at one point Ripley actually says, micro changes in air density, my ass, as they're looking for the thing. It is suspicious how this thing works. I think that's their way of kind of hand waving how this thing's supposed to pick up movement through all the layers of ship. I guess I'm happy they mention it as opposed to just assuming that the technology works.
Yeah.
But it does make Ash more suspicious.
It's true. Though he's also been throughout this whole thing pretty, stone-faced, I would say. He's not reacting nearly as heavily as the others.
Spending all this time poking at the dead face hugger, doing science.
Anyway. And then things escalate quickly after the toothy ween leaves the chest.
Yeah. So we're about an hour into the movie at this point. We're about halfway through, and the crew is dividing to look for this little crawler that jumped out of one of their friends' chest. And I think it was like an hour and 8-minute mark when we first discover the actual titular alien.
I was going to say that when they split up, the good news is they at least are smart enough to stay together.
Yes.
For the most part. And so, 3 of them get together, and Ripley plus, Parker and Brett are going with the idea that they're going to go ahead and catch the alien with the cattle prod and a net, because they still, they see it and it was pretty small, right? They find some motion. Surprise, it's the cat, which we had forgotten about the cat. Very happy that Jonesy was okay. However, now Parker has to go wander off and catch the cat because
Brett has to go off and catch the cat. Brett's the guy in the Hawaiian shirt.
I thought that was Parker.
Parker's Yaphet Kotto.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Brett has to go catch the cat.
This is the important detail: is the names that people listening don't give a shit about.
I'm glad you're here to keep me correct, Jeff.
Technically correct, which is the right,
the best kind of correct.
Yes.
Anyway, so Brett wanders off to go ahead and catch the cat while the other 2 are doing stuff, and immediately all of us who have seen any horror movie ever now say, "Oh well, I guess Brett's going to die now," and he wanders through, and I don't understand how there's so much water in this ship, but he goes into a room that is basically dripping.
I just assumed condensation.
It was like it was raining in there.
He basically took a shower at one point. It is one of the themes of these films. There is a lot of wet in these 2 space movies. Like it's a lot of things are just very damp all the time. You get a very cold and wet sensation from much of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's the direction they chose to go in, but it is very present in both films that we screened today.
This is true. This is true. So yeah, Brett goes in there, takes a shower, while looking for the cats, and finds basically the shed skin of our alien, which is also wet and creepy, and so gross. But that gives us the first clue that maybe it's not the same as it was. This little thing they can catch in a net. Um, he does find the cat. The cat is willing to go to him until it senses the alien and hisses, and then Brett dies.
So the alien at this point is no longer an 8-inch long albino crawly thing. It is an 8-foot tall, lanky claws and shiny black monstrosity, which, if you know anything about Alien, you probably have seen the design of the alien.
Yeah,
It's
it's now the form we recognize. Oh, as a switch, quick back thing. In this place where he takes his shower, there are amazing shadows. They do a very nice job with the shadow work in there because they got chains hanging and like just little beams of light going through. It actually is a really awesome like visual they've got going on there.
and it's done for a couple of reasons. The first, of course, is the shadows look great. The second is because you have a place to hide them. Like, where could it be?
Mhm.
It's a very fun game once you've seen these movies a few times. Can you spot the alien before you're supposed to spot the alien? And like before it starts to move, because it's always there already.
Mhm.
It's hiding in a shadow, whatever. I say always, but that's really the first, second, and third movie. They kind of play this game with you of,
Yeah.
can you figure out where this thing is as it builds these tension shots?
Yeah.
And they use shadows very effectively to keep the tension up, but also to hide the fact that you have a very tall, lanky man in a rubber suit as your villain. Something that a lot of the movies that I screened for Octember and that I will make you watch over the course of this cast eventually don't do, and you see every detail of their crappy, cheap rubber suit. You see that Zat is wearing sneakers. There are countless examples of people not shooting their monster in a way that keeps it creepy. And while you get very few short glimpses of the alien in this, it leaves an impact because they are all well put together.
And they're all lit in such a way that you can't see enough to go ahead and disbelieve.
Right.
And so right about there, the cat survives. For anyone who is curious,
It's not John Wick. It's not a dead puppy.
nope. No, yeah, the cat survives. This is important to us all.
Yeah.
And the cat just watches as Brett gets taken
What's
up.
the cat gonna do? It's a cat. It's not gonna step in.
I appreciate that, but it's a very cat-like performance.
Hmm.
Just watches like, this is fine.
I could see it helping the alien.
And somehow I'm not sure exactly because they don't say anything, but like the crew seems to now know what happens or like how big this thing got because the next scene we have is the crew like freaking out over the fact that this thing is now giant, and they discover that it's moving around in the air ducts, which is not a thing they thought was a possible.
Right. Parker
channel.
and Brett show up and they're telling the rest of the crew about how Brett has died. And they talk about how this thing is huge. We don't see a scene of them discovering their friend getting killed by a giant alien, but it must have happened because of how they're talking about it. I don't know when the decision was made to not show them like showing up at the last second or something. We hear him scream, we see the cat, and then the next scene is they're talking about it. It seems like a weird and rare missed coverage moment in a movie that covers pretty much everything. Like,
This is
it's
true.
all intuitive from this and from things you actually see. But in this, we have to make a guess that they noticed because we do not see them at any point during the encounter with the alien.
Right. All right. So they're together. They're getting more and more upset about this, and they form a plan. I think Dallas might maybe even forms the plan to go ahead and chase it through the air ducts to the airlock and then just vent it to space. Not a bad plan. Ripley volunteers to go in the air ducts, but is told to go. I don't even remember what her job
To
was.
the airlock.
To the airlock with what, Lambert, or was it?
I think with Parker.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Two of them are standing by the airlock so that when he flushes it out, they can push it out the airlock. They've got flamethrowers that have been rigged up at this point because they've decided that the cattle prods probably won't work, and most creatures react to changes in temperature and flee from fire.
Sure. Which is fair. So yeah, Dallas decides he's going to be the one to flush it through, and so he's going through the air ducts now.
Before he goes through the air ducts, he pays a visit to Mother, the ship's computer, and he asks, "Is this plan going to work?"
Mhm.
And the computer says, "Can't compute, does not compute, insufficient details," or something.
Mhm.
He asks the question a few times and keeps getting the same non-answers. And he says, "What are my chances?" And it just says, "Does not compute."
Right. The computer is completely useless in this scene.
But also gives a sense that it's kind of hopeless. So I think that's why he chose to go into their lock or the vents,
Yeah.
Right.
because
Maybe.
he was like, "Well, we're probably fucked anyway."
Yeah, possible. So he does sort of suit up. It's not really a proper suit up, but he grabs his flamethrower and his handheld flashlight and pops into the vent.
Hand-lugged flashlight. It's the size of a truck tire. It's an enormous flashlight for an air vent.
Yeah.
He's not as graceful as John McClane. He's
John's most commented phrase in this movie was, "They need headlamps. They need headlamps."
Oh, this is true. They I don't understand how you work in a place that dark without a headlamp. I mean, engineering should have had a fucking headlamp, if nothing else. But in any case, he does not, and this is fairly awkward to watch him go with one hand on a flame holder and a flamethrower, and the other one on a giant flashlight, and try to maneuver hunched over in the vents. It's it's like he has no chance in hell if the thing actually rushed him of even pointing that flamethrower at him in time.
I think it's important to point out here that they wouldn't have had a problem with an alien crawling through the vents if they didn't make vents large enough for an 8-foot tall alien to crawl through. Why do your air vents have to be large enough for a family of 6 to live comfortably in? It seems like a design choice.
It is a choice.
Like you want to be slaughtered by an alien that's crawling through your air vents.
Or, you needed somebody to be able to crawl up there, and those are actually maintenance tunnels, but
yeah, call them air vents. They're ventilation shafts.
It's true.
You build a maintenance tunnel if it's a maintenance tunnel.
And they did have metal shutters in between sections of it that did not
Yeah.
fully seal. So it's not like they would actually have stopped air. So they couldn't have been used to bulkhead things off in the case of a hull breach, because there's still a hole in the middle. But whatever, we'll just ignore that part. They did a really good job with most of the set design, so I'll give it.
It's not the set design problem. It's an engineering problem when they built the ship.
Sure.
It was a low selling model because their safety features didn't work.
That's why it was only $42 million.
That was the whole thing, was $42 million in adjusted dollars.
Just
So it's even less than that.
Well, that's getting the second movie. Anyway,
Jumping ahead.
So we move on. Predictably as Dallas goes, he eventually they detects the thing, and he doesn't see it. It's not in his duct, and he goes down a ladder, and it's right there. Jump scare. Dallas is dead. That's the important part for it there. I think it was one of our better jump scares that actually had a person die at it, as opposed to, it was the cat jumping out of the locker or whatever else.
I mean, there are only so many people to kill in this movie. You've got the one that gets face hugged at the beginning, so can't get killed by the alien, which leaves you with 5 crew.
Yep.
And 6, I guess, but we're going to very quickly get to.
Yes. But as I say, so the next part that matters is that now that happens, Ripley is now the ranking officer in the crew. And first thing she does is decide she's going to go have a conversation with Mother. Actually, this might even be, she first has, I think, an argument or something with Ash about how it's we're definitely going to kill this thing. There's no saving it for study. It's got to die. And goes to talk to Mother because apparently the captain or whoever the ranking officer was the only one who was supposed to have access to Mother, which is the ship's computer.
So now she has access to Mother. She goes in, she asks it some questions.
And discovers that there is a restricted order that only the science officer can see, which is very suspicious. And she asks what that order is, and finds out that the science officer has its direct order to go ahead and preserve the specimen at the expense of potentially all the crew. The crew is considered expendable in this.
All other priorities rescinded.
Crew expendable.
Yep. And then like fucking Ash just pops up in the like Mother computer room, which I want to remind you, these are not quiet doors. And he's just like, he's there. And you're like, how did that even happen? Did he like just hide under the desk and we didn't see him? I don't know.
He's very sneaky, that robot.
Spoilers. So we're getting the sense now that Ash has got different corporate directives. And so she leaves Mother and like leaves him in there, but he starts closing doors in front of her to basically lock her in with him. And he's been a little twitchy right about now too. And
has weird white fluid dripping off his head like he's
sweaty and milk.
Rudy Giuliani, but with milk instead of chocolate milk.
Right.
Ew.
So this is a little odd. And well, then he tries to kill Ripley.
With a rolled up magazine.
First he knocks her around a bit, he's tossing her around the room, and then he rolls up a magazine and tries to stick it into her mouth. Now, if you're strong enough to toss a grown woman with one arm across a room, you can definitely crush her neck. You don't need to roll up a porno magazine and try to make her eat it. It's just a really awkward way to kill somebody.
It is.
When you have the strength to do it otherwise.
There are many other people who have talked about this movie, and one of the themes that they have noted is a sort of misogyny and a rape thing going through it. There's a lot of phallic imagery in it, and trying to gag her on a magazine fits into that. I can't say to that one way or the other. All I can say is this is an inefficient way to try to kill somebody, and it just didn't work quick enough. And the other crewmates show up and literally knock Ash's head off with a fire extinguisher.
But that doesn't actually fully kill him.
No. They use the cattle prod.
I mean, anyway, so it turns out Ash is an android or a synthetic or a robot, whatever you want, and has been authorized to effectively just do whatever is necessary. And he, being a robot, follows the corporate directive to the letter. So that's fun, but they did connect his head to some batteries or something, and were able to have a small conversation with him before they decided to incinerate him. But he has been kind of a traitor throughout a lot of this, and more or less knew what was going on. It also seems very clear at this point the company knew what they were doing, because that clause was in their contract. They sent Ash, and this went right by the planet where they just so happened to know where it was. Remember, Ash let them in and violated quarantine protocols.
All of his questionable decisions now make more sense within the context of him attempting to preserve the alien over anything else. Gotta let it into the ship. Who cares what happens to the crew? Gotta keep the creature. Doesn't matter what happens to the crew. Let other people explore where the creature came off. You get more of them, all the better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's a robot. He didn't have to worry about getting,
face hugged,
throat fucked by an alien crab. It's not a threat to him the way that it is to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it also explains the conversation that Mother had with Dallas, where she's not giving him answers.
Mm-hmm.
The computer is also programmed by the company. And they never explicitly say it, but I have to assume that the company had previously intercepted and decoded the transmission and knew that it was a warning and not an SOS. And that's why they didn't tell anybody. They want the creature. They told the science officer they want the creature. These space truckers are not important. They are simply a transit. Honestly, the 20 million tons of whatever don't matter in comparison to the potential military applications of this creature that could kill aliens.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, before they set him on fire, Ash calls it a perfect organism. Otherwise, perfection only matched by its hostility. So Anyway, now we're down to what? 4?
We are down to 3.
3. Down to 3. So it's Lambert, Parker, and Ripley.
So Lambert had previously proposed they get on board the shuttle and blow up the ship and just leave the alien on the ship, just get on the shuttle, get the hell out of there. And Ripley points out the shuttle can't take 4, not knowing that one of them doesn't need life support.
Mm-hmm.
But also, why the hell do you have a shuttle on a vessel like this that can't take the whole crew? How is that your emergency escape vessel? Oh yeah, well we can only take less than half of your 7-person crew. Everybody else is just fucked if you're leaving this behind. Like,
yeah.
Oh, your ship is catastrophically damaged? Well, I hope you can draw straws and send 3 people to safety. The rest of you are just boned.
Yep. Yeah. But in any case, numbers work now, so we're going to go ahead and try Lambert's plan. Ripley gets her flamethrower and starts gathering stuff and tells Lambert and Parker to go get some more, I guess, oxygen or something.
They're getting, I think, oxygen and air filters so that they can survive on the shuttle. And Ripley goes to the bridge to initiate the self-destruct. And so now I'm unclear. Is it the bridge or is it on the towing vessel?
So no,
I think it's the bridge. I think it's the Nostromo's engine.
So before she does that, though, she's getting the cat. And so she ends up like going through and trying to chase down Jonesy because cat, and does in fact get him, though he also gives another obligatory jump scare because that's what cats do.
She crams into a box that then she spends the rest of the movie throwing around like there's nothing in it.
Yeah, as I say, this is the worst cat carrier ever.
Or the best. That cat seemed totally unharmed. It's apparently an amazing cat carrier.
The alien even found him in the box and thought he was a gunner for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, she's bringing Jonesy back to the shuttle, and more or less runs into the alien.
Before that, her crew is killed.
Oh, okay. So the alien gets Parker and Lambert while they're doing stuff because they are making a ton of fucking noise.
Oh yeah, they're collecting all.
They're just supplies. Rushing to collect as many of the supplies as they can get, and they encounter the alien. This is, I think, our third sighting of the alien in the movie entirely, and are summarily slaughtered by Big and Shiny.
Yep. And so when Ripley's running back with the cat in the box and comes upon the alien, ends up leaving the box with the cat in it while she retreats to go ahead and start the self-destruct.
No. She retreats to try to turn off the self-destruct.
Oh, that's right. She turned on the self-destruct first.
She triggers the self-destruct. She has 10 minutes to get off the ship, but after 5 minutes, you can no longer cancel the reaction. The ship is going to blow. The sequence probably takes 2 minutes to do itself. It is a very complicated sequence to destroy
the alien is blocking her way out.
So she backtracks. She needs more time. So the ship's about to explode. She and Jonesy are running to the shuttle. They encounter the alien blocking their path. She retreats to the bridge to try to disable the self-destruct and doesn't get it in time.
Jonesy?
No, she leaves the cat behind.
As she's escaping because he's kind of in a giant fucking box.
And because she's completely terrified of the 8-foot alien, even though she still has a flamethrower. John and I both agree that we would not attempt to take the pot shot with the flamethrower when the alien didn't notice, because that ends with
him noticing.
Yeah,
and you being just gutted.
Right. But somehow, when she comes back after failing to turn off the self-destruct, the cat is still there in the box and fine.
And the alien is nowhere in sight.
So she gets on the ship and unpacks the cat, puts him in the cryopod.
Not until after she quickly escapes at the last second. He is still in the case while they separate from the main ship and get away just in time before the big ship explodes in 3 different nuclear reactors. We see that explode a bunch of times. And for a movie whose tagline was "In space, no one can hear you scream," meaning they understand that sound doesn't travel in a vacuum, it was a very loud explosion for a ship that is not being blown up.
Maybe it's just the shockwave they're hearing in the shuttle.
Maybe, but it definitely sounded more like this is explosions in space, which don't normally make.
Maybe Michael Bay got a hold of it.
Just for a minute, just possessed
Yeah.
Ridley Scott in that moment. We did point out the exceptional sound design earlier. I just think this is a place where they missed a bit. You could have heard like the ship groaning as it's hit by the shockwave, but you shouldn't hear boom.
It's true.
Because there's not anything to boom.
They did show it 3 times.
They did.
So, but anyway, so after that, she's kind of like calming down a little bit. All right, I got the bastard.
Packing up for cryo sleep.
Escapes, yay! The kitty escapes.
She starts to get undressed. She's wearing the smallest underwear ever put on screen outside of a pornography film.
I don't know how there's not a whole meme just about her tiny microscopic underwear and her.
If that movie had come out now instead of 1979, it would totally be a thing. As it was.
Yeah. It was probably normal for the time. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. All right. So, of course, at this point, the cat survives. The cat's put into the cryo thing. She's
great,
calming down.
I had written R.I.P. Jonesy in my notes, so I'm glad I can I just had written the cat. I was like, poor cat.
Yeah, as I say, when she left him, I thought he was done.
I crossed that off.
Now, I have seen this movie many times, and I decided not to alleviate the tension on the cat, as I thought it would help these two stay engaged in the film, because we care more about animals. That was the most stressful
part about the whole fucking. I was like, why is there a cat in the ship? Why is there?
And if I told you from the start that the cat's in the second movie, you wouldn't have felt bad about it for the rest of the movie. But I wanted you to have that sense of tension on your first watch.
You just made me suffer.
Yeah, that's half the point of this.
That's what real friends do.
Remember Winter Beast.
Try not to.
Oh, you can never forget.
I really can't.
Oh, it's a dick in a box.
As opposed to you were talking earlier about how some of this was like
phallic.
Yeah, phallic. I was like, like the giant ween popping out of people's chests and the giant black ween aliens. Oh my gosh.
This is all mentioned in that kind of analysis of the film.
All right, cool.
All right.
That was not lost.
If you want deep scholarly analysis, go to anybody else.
It's true.
We're going to talk about weens.
Are we? Anyway, so she's calmed down.
Microscopic underwear.
Yes. Yeah, we already hit the microscopic underwear. So she's ready for all that, and then an alien hand pops out behind her.
No, she's getting ready and she's in front of it, and she's basically staring at it for a minute. You can see the head of the thing. Yeah. I knew it was there. And I was waiting for you guys to notice it was there. But eventually it moves, and it's like sleeping in a shelf,
like a crawl space,
like a crawl space on the escape ship, and it hasn't seemingly noticed that there's more meat there. I think it's still full from the last people it ate. And so she has time to escape. She runs into a closet and very slowly gets dressed again in a spacesuit, as she's come up with a plan.
Mm-hmm. And so she grabs what appears to be a spear gun, which I think we can we ruled must have been like a maintenance weapon, or not a weapon, but like a maintenance tool.
It's a maintenance weapon. Like a really big wrench is a maintenance weapon.
Sure, yeah.
Why do we need to harpoon things in space?
So
space sharks. Come on.
That's right.
I would watch that.
And
I can fund you that movie.
Yeah. It should be a movie.
Well, guarantee that's.
I'm not entirely sure.
Sharks, I'm just saying.
I'm not entirely sure what she does, because she like vents some gases at it or something like that.
She's trying to get it out of the shelf to get it to come out so that she could.
So that she could vent the ship and actually suck it out. Because from where it was, it wouldn't have been pulled out of the ship.
Yeah. So her plan is to vent it out of the ship, clearly. But so she hits it with a bunch of gases until I guess it decides to wake up and stand up. And then we have the 8-foot tall, beast. And
in the clearest shot that we have of it in the movie, which is maybe the 5th or 6th time we see it.
Yeah.
It has less than 5 minutes of total screen time. Less maybe even than Jaws, which didn't get a lot of screen time in its own movie. Which works because what you do see, you remember. And if you'd seen too much of it, it wouldn't be scary.
and it was 79, and it wasn't going to look good if you had more time to look at it.
And it still looks pretty good.
It's about the lighting. Remember, like they don't give you enough light to really peer at it.
It's also about the suit.
No.
The suit is really detailed. You guys can't see this because it's an audio medium, but I have pulled up a picture of the actor wearing the alien suit, and it is a detailed suit. It has all the crannies and nooks and all the things that you see glistening in this. It's a really well designed suit, though. When you see this guy standing here, even with the head on, he looks like a human being in a suit.
Right.
Now, you could still play that
Mhm.
in a movie like this because it came out of a person and it
Yeah.
grows to be like its host, perhaps. And in fact, I think they play on that in later films where there's one that looks different because it's born out of I think it's a dog in Alien 3.
Oh, really?
And so it moves a little more crouched.
So anyway, she manages to go ahead and get our alien to stand up, terrified, vents it to space. It manages to kind of grab the edges before it falls out.
Again, audio medium, John is doing the pose with his hands out, holding on to the door.
Right. And
So
she gets to use the spear gun.
Yeah, she shoots it with a grappling hook, harpoon gun looking thing. But that doesn't get rid of it. It grabs onto the engine of her ship.
Well, no, because it's now got it's lodged there. And
yes.
when the door shuts, it cuts, it captures basically the gun portion of the harpoon gun, because of course it's yanked out of her hands as soon as that happens. And so it's dangling behind the ship and just like hanging out there.
And then it crawls into the engine.
So what does a pilot do except fire up the thrusters?
Seems like the right move.
It does. Though, if I remember correctly, spaceflight, often the thrusters are just air.
This definitely appeared to be hot or really cold. It was not some temperature extreme.
Yeah, well, I understand. I'm just saying that if I remember correctly, in real spaceships, they use air.
Much of it is gas. It's not. It's air.
Well, yes,
gas,
it's some sort of like
vented gas to move.
Yeah,
these are not moving as slowly as our ships do, or they would never get to the places that they're talking about. So it's some kind of, let's call it an ion thrust or whatever it is that's outputting.
Anyway,
fucks up an alien.
Long story short, that's the end of our alien. It has been vented to space. She goes to sleep in her cryopod, and that is
she signs off with a classic movie ending where she recaps the status of the Nostromo, and Ellen Ripley signs off. This is only important to people that have watched all of these movies because it does come back in a later thing. They go back to the last survivor of something signing off. It's a good sign off line for sure.
Nice.
So that is Alien.
That is Alien
in a probably 50-minute nutshell. That's all right. We only have one more movie to talk about before we really start to talk about movies, and that's where we'll stop for this one. Stay tuned for our next summary that is nearly as long as the film we watched, Aliens. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or comments, let us know at octemberfestcast@gmail.com. And remember, stay spooky.